Hey, what's up, everybody? Today is November 15th. It's just after noon here in Montana. Kind of cloudy, overcast, cold Montana. Got quite a bit of snow uh, toward the end of this week, I guess. Middle of the week, something like that. Anyway, just wanted to come on and do a quick update on Bitcoin. Try to do, I don't know, at least one a week. Maybe more if there's a lot of action. But the last one I did was on the 7th, which would be this green candle right here. You can see since then it's continued moving higher. Had this peak on the 12th at over 16,000. This is a Bitfinex chart, daily chart, and you can see the high on this day here on the 12th was 16,481. And since then it's been pulling back just a little bit. You can see by this daily chart that this red line is the 7 EMA, the daily 7 EMA, and it's been providing really good support for Bitcoin's price, really for like the last month and a half. So that's looking really good. I wasn't surprised that it's pulling back here just a little bit. Anytime it extends very far from the 7 EMA, it'll either move sideways like it did here to give the time for the moving average to catch up, or you'll get kind of a pullback like here. We've got these this doji here. We had another one here which was on the 12th, but you can see this one kind of like an evening star reversal pattern. This one only resulted in a 1-day pullback. You can see this day here it pulled back to the 7 and got support. The next day it popped, and then kind of a large doji-ish style candle here, but it's just been continuing to move up. Got this doji, like I said, on the 12th, and then yesterday pulled back a little. It hasn't been making big moves. Today it's pulling back just a little bit more, but not terrible. It's still above the 7 EMA. I've kind of been waiting for a really decent pullback. If anybody's watched any of the older videos, I may have mentioned it in the last update that I did, where it's pretty common for Bitcoin to have during the bull market. I can actually scroll back and show. Not uncommon for Bitcoin to have some pretty healthy pullbacks. You can see this is the 2017. This is the all-time high, but you can see this is going back. Actually, 2017 starts right about here, but you can see there'll be run-ups and then pull back, and you'll have some pretty decent pullbacks too, like this one here, just roughly about a 37% pullback. You got this one here. If I go from this, it's kind of a wick, this top of this wick, down to this candle, about 33. So you can see there's, if I go from this peak here, that's about a 40%. And this one here, about a 40%. So you can see there's some pretty severe pullbacks, really. And this is all during the 2017, this uh, bull market. Even this one's in November, which is getting close to the peak. That one's 30, almost 33%. You know, and then there's another one here that's pretty decent. Just, I mean, in beginning of December, just before the run up to the all-time high. So anyway, you can see you get some pretty severe pullbacks, and we really haven't seen anything like that so far. This is the COVID crash here back in March, and I mean there's a couple here where it's pulled back, but if I check these, you know, maybe just a little under 20%. This is the one at the end of beginning of September, end of August. If I go from here, you're only looking at about the same, I guess, about 18%, a little under 20. So we really haven't had like a 30, 40% pullback yet. It's also possible we won't. You know, the crypto space has matured more. I think there's a different demographic as far as investors in crypto than 2017. So have more institutional investors. So it's hard to say how that'll affect price action, but it's possible we may not see a 30, 40% pullback, but it's always possible. I still like to, you know, prepare for it just in case. But anyway, you can see, especially since, you know, toward the beginning of October, first week of October, you can see the rate of increase is really, it just really took off here. So it's due either for a pullback or just to kind of go sideways for a while, kind of build a base before moving higher again. You can see like this area here where it moved sideways for, yeah, this like pop here, sideways, which was actually over a couple months here where it basically moved sideways, or actually kind of sideways and down a little. You got this area where it moved up, and then you've got another sideways area here, which is another, you know, this is almost, if depending on where you measure it from, but it's at least 2 months again of basically sideways. So probably due for something like that. I mean, we're getting really close to the all-time high. Unless it makes a run up there and challenges the all-time high, and then either get a really nice pullback and then some sideways, or some sideways first and then up. But I just think it's, you know, this action here going up this fast in that short amount of time, it's probably due for some consolidation in that. If you look at the weekly, you can see here especially that it's, you know, the weekly 7 EMAs down here at 13,691 basically right now. So it's about $2,000 below what the price of Bitcoin is right now. So it's kind of a bit extended on the weekly. The daily doesn't look too bad, but on the weekly it kind of is. And you can kind of see the same thing here. If if the price gets too far extended, it'll either pull back and then continue, So some sideways here, maybe a little bit of a pullback and sideways, whatever, something like that. Wouldn't surprise me to give this moving average time to catch up before it moves on again, moves higher. We'll go down to some shorter. This is the 4-hour time frame. You can see it's kind of been in this I don't know, kind of a rising wedge pattern, I guess. So it's down near this lower trend line right now. So we'll see if maybe it breaks down out of this, or if we get a bounce here and it heads back up to this upper trend line, or if, like I said, if we just go sideways. Hard to tell right at the moment. Earlier it started. We got this little bit of a drop here, just over this. This is the hourly chart here. So this last hourly candle here had a decent little drop. It's kind of paused right now, so we'll see if it recovers back up here or continues down some more. But anyway, that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin. It's made some big moves and kind of looking for maybe some sideways. Keeping in the back of my mind the possibility, like I said, that we could have a pretty severe pullback. I just haven't seen it so far. Any of these dips that we've been getting have been getting bought up pretty quick. So we'll have to see if that continues or if we do eventually get a big one. Looking at Ethereum, hasn't been looking too bad. Had this peak back right at the end of August before this dump in beginning of September that we saw with Bitcoin also. And then we have this double bottom here that formed, and since then it's been trending upward, kind of an upward slanting channel. You can see it's popped up toward this upper trend line a couple times, but each time it's rejected so far. And today we just had, or actually yesterday, kind of a rejection, and then today it's kind of a continuation. And looking at the 4-hour, you can see it a little more clearly. You can see where it gets up close to the upper trend line, pulls back. We've got a little bit more of a sustained drop here over the last couple of days. So we'll see. I actually sold some of my Ethereum in here. About half my Ethereum position, just in case this does turn into a larger pullback. Basically, I'm kind of in a hodl mode. I'm not doing really very, very little active trading. I'm mostly just accumulating. Whenever there gets, you get some nice dips in that, I'll pick up a little here and there just to try to fill my positions that aren't already full. But I just didn't feel like holding all of my Ethereum in case this does turn into a larger pullback. If it doesn't, I'll just, I'll just watch what the price action does here and get back in at some point. I don't like jumping in and out too often. Usually, I've found that it's kind of counterproductive. It usually it doesn't work out. You end up just uh, buying back higher. Occasionally, you will get a nice dump, and then you can pick up some down lower. But I try not to do it too often. But this time, I thought it's just a feeling that maybe Bitcoin's kind of overdue for a little more of a decent pullback. So we'll see. But anyway, Ethereum really doesn't look too bad. If we look at this one on the weekly, it's looking good. Had this, I mean, looking long term. This is looking way back into 2018. Kind of a long term double bottom here. You got this lower peak. This is the March, the COVID crash, which came not quite as low as this, but pretty close to it. Really good recovery, and then sort of sideways here, came down, and now it's trending back up again. So we'll see what this does. It may just kind of move sideways here also. If Bitcoin does, it'll probably Ethereum will probably kind of follow. If Bitcoin pauses, it's possible we could see the alts kind of gain ground back on Bitcoin. The Bitcoin dominance has been growing, especially over the last month or so. We can take a quick look at it here. And you can see here it peaked, or excuse me, the Bitcoin dominance. This is weekly chart, and had kind of a low here right first week of September, maybe toward the middle of September right here, and then you can see since then it's really taken off. So the alts were really strong in like later July, August, like through this period, the alts were doing really good. And then since this kind of resurgence in Bitcoin, the alts have been getting kind of hammered a bit. So if Bitcoin does kind of go into a consolidation period, possible we could see the alts make up some ground on Bitcoin. Maybe this tops out and trends down a ways. So that's something I'll be looking for too. I still have some of my altcoin positions that I need to finish filling up, so I don't want them to take off too fast. I'd like to accumulate more before that happens, but we'll just have to wait and see. So I guess that's about all on Ethereum. I mean, I would like to see it, because like I said, we had this high back right at the end of August, which was just about 490. I mean, it would be nice to see Ethereum get above 500. I mean, it hasn't been up there since this is like summer of 2018 was the last time it was above 500. So that'd be nice to see if it could get above there again here. I know eventually it will, but we'll just have to see if it can do it here fairly soon, or if this is going to kind of go sideways and just longer term process. My view on Bitcoin is that it's still sort of early in the cycle. I don't think we're going to see any massive, go back to a weekly. I don't think we're going to see any massive like parabolic, kind of like this 2017 move. At least I hope we don't. I want this to be a little more sustained and drawn out. I think it's more sustainable rather than having this crazy increase and then peak and crash. I'd rather this whole process, if it takes into next year, even toward the end of next year, for Bitcoin to finally peak, and for the bull market to end. But just have to wait and see. You can see here, it's really these last weekly candles especially it's kind of really taken off, kind of like it did back here before this June peak back in 2019. We had this period from the bear market low back here, had a pretty steep increase, which we're kind of seeing again. So, but like I said, I'm kind of hoping that it'll kind of take its time and just slowly work its way up. But we'll see. I guess that's pretty much all on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Could take a quick look at the dollar. It's been pretty sideways for a couple months. Had this big pullback here through July, August. Toward right at the end of August here is where it bottomed, and then started popping again. This is where we had the Bitcoin right at the beginning of September. The Bitcoin not really crash, but just pull back. It pulled back like a couple $1,000 right in this period here as the dollar was going up. Had this peak September 24th. Since then it's been trending down. Had a little pop here, but all that did was created a lower high. So basically it's still in a downtrend. Looking back, back into beginning of August, overall, like I said, kind of sideways. We'll have to see, there's some support levels here where it's bounced from several times and then up here, bounced here. We'll see if these 2 days it held. It's Friday, it was coming down. So we'll see how this week plays out. If it continues its downward movement, if it bounces from this support here, maybe heads down to this one again and bounces, or even heads even lower. So we'll see what the dollar's going to do, but I think that'll have a effect on Bitcoin also. Looking at gold, just the daily chart on gold. It was in kind of a downward or descending wedge, downward sloping wedge, whatever you want to call it, and had a bit of a breakout here, but then immediately this huge red candle here on the 8th just gave it all back and more back into this wedge. Friday kind of popped some, so we'll see what gold's going to do from here. I thought it probably would have got closer to 2,000 before pulling back. When I saw it doing this, I figured it was going to go try 2,000 again, but it got up to $1,966, but that's as high as it could go, and then got this big fat red candle. So we'll see what gold does. That can have an effect on Bitcoin also. Bitcoin Sometimes it's correlated to the stock market where it'll not perfectly correlated, but it'll be fairly correlated where you'll see days the stock market dumps that Bitcoin will also have a bad day, and then other days where the stock market's strong, Bitcoin will, and then other times it'll decouple and the stock market may have a down day and Bitcoin will be up, have a real good up day, and it'll do that with gold also. Sometimes it'll move with gold, and then other times it'll move inverse, whatever gold's doing. Um, and the stock market, Friday was a pretty good uh, green day for the stock market. I think they were all up a decent amount, a percent. The tech was up about 1%. The other S&P about 1.4%, Dow about 1.4. So we'll see what this week. You can see it was pretty green on Friday, but we'll see what this week brings. Okay, so anyway, this is a daily chart of the SPY. And you can see how it's had this run up through the end of August, and then had this pretty decent sized pullback. This is just after Bitcoin had its pullback. About 2 days later, the stock market did. Came down. Then it's just kind of been up and down since then as news comes out about COVID and the election and possible vaccines and all that. It's kind of whipping the market around. So I know there's been a big resurgence in COVID cases, which affect the market. You know, if there's possible lockdowns or different states where it's really bad, reinstituting lockdowns. The market doesn't like that. You know, it's probably would do more damage to the economy. So you can just see it's kind of, the market's kind of been all over the place lately. So we'll see. I mean, recently it did have a new all-time high, but we'll just see what it does for this week. You know, if we keep following this trend where we come back down again, or finally takes off higher, we'll just have to see. But anyway, I think that's most of what I wanted to show you. This is CoinGecko. We can kind of get a look at renew it here over the last hour. What stuff's been not a lot of most stuff's pretty flat, slightly green or red. Over the last hour, there hasn't been much upward movement. Over the past 24 hours, you know, you can see a little better price action. Sushi's probably the big winner here, over 16%. Then we look over the last week. Sushi, again, up over 100%. So, but right now the price is only at $1.23, so it must have really gotten down. Last time I remember looking at it, it was like $2 or $3. So it's continued to drop, but recently over the last week it's popped again. Some of these other coins, Uniswap has been doing pretty good. Curve, so, you know, DeFi's been doing a little better lately. Kind of a little bit of resurgence, so to see if that continues. But you know, you can see, looking at the 7-day, decent amount of green, you know, stuff moving up. So just have to see what happens over the next days and weeks. Like I said, though, I'm leaning more toward either bigger pullback in Bitcoin coming down, or just moving into a kind of a consolidation phase where it'll, for maybe a week or so, where it'll kind of move around this $16,000 area. So anyway, that's I think that's about all I got. Probably rambled on long enough. So hope everybody's having a good Sunday, and hope you have a good week coming up. And I'll catch y'all in the next video. Take care.